Hey everyone, it is Evan here from the Trade Risk on Wednesday, July 29th. We are intraday right now, and this is our weekly swing trade ideas video where we bring you some of the names from our watch list, stocks that are holding up well, showing some relative strength, and ideally are not yet too extended in their move. As always, these videos are powered by our partners over at Investors Business Daily. We curate ideas from their stock lists. You can get access to their stock lists with a link in the description of this video. So we're looking at 4 stocks today, 2 from IBD's watch list, 2 from our TR150 watch list. So let's jump into the first name here, and it is AMT. So this is American Tower. This is a REIT, real estate investment trust, which means this is a little slower of a name. This is not a high octane small cap tech biotech stock that is going to double or triple or has the potential to double or triple in the next 12 months. So this is a slower paced name, but the technicals and the setup here are very strong, and that's of course what we look at in these videos. So if we first zoom out here, we just look at American Tower, you can see we've been in a nice steady uptrend here for the past several years. If we zoom in a little bit closer, we had a breakout to all-time highs. Let's draw some lines here. We had a breakout to all-time highs in June of this year. So you can see right around $257 or so. That was the prior all-time high set in late 2019, I guess early 2020. We got the breakout, but then the stock basically just kind of danced around and went sideways here, and it really carved out this more immediate range that we've been looking at for the past couple of months. And what you're seeing today is that the stock is attempting to break out to all-time highs. It's attempting to make a new all-time high close and essentially start resolving this consolidation to the upside. So that's what we're paying attention to here. We've got a stock that has moved sideways. We've got the long-term uptrend intact, good relative strength here, and a fresh potential breakout. Of course, it's up. This will potentially be the 3rd update in a row. So it's not a day one move, but it is a day one break to all-time highs. So AMT, that is the first trade idea in today's video. Number 2, which is likely a much less known name. You're probably not familiar with this one, or at least I wasn't prior to scanning through some of IBD stocks, but this is BRP. And a couple of disclaimers or warnings that I want to sort of throw out there is that this is definitely a more thinly traded stock. Right now, the average 20-day volume sitting a little over 200,000, but that's really just skewed from like this 2 to 3 days worth of trading here in late June. This stock really has been trading a lot less volume over the past couple of weeks. So do keep that in mind. And if we zoom out here, this is a pretty young issue. It's a recent IPO, hasn't even traded a full year yet on the market. So just keep those things in mind. As always, I always like to try and remind. I know I'm a broken record, but you have to do your homework and due diligence on these stocks to make sure they fit the characteristics and sort of the the specs that you like to see when you trade. So BRP, with those things aside here, what I like about this particular setup is that we've got essentially a consolidation that is taking place at a very significant point in this stock's history. So if we basically zoom out a little bit again and we look at how it traded when it came out of the gate as an IPO, it found sellers all around here, the $17.50 area, got as high as about $18 on this spike, but that's basically been the highs for the stock. It then suffered the Q1 to 2 pullback here in early 2020, and now it is rebounded and it is consolidating at this level. So I like this consolidation. I like the placement of this consolidation. It has good potential here to break out and run to the upside. This could absolutely get going, in a very short amount of time. And it's what I would consider a much more speculative, higher beta type of name. So BRP, let's pay attention to it here. Pay attention to this consolidation, of course, if it fits the types of stocks, characteristics that you're interested in. So BRP, that's number 2 there from IBD's IPO watch list. Number 3 comes from our TR150 watch list, and this is BILI. We talked about this one a couple of months back. So if you recall, back in early to mid-May, I believe it was right in here on the 13th is when we talked about it. So let's just highlight that. This was a Trade Ideas stock on this particular week, and we were talking about at this point the breakout to all-time highs, the fact that it was resolving consolidation to all-time highs, wanted to pay attention to it, looking for trend continuation, and of course in hindsight this turned out to be a pretty good winner. They're obviously not always like that, but the stock went on to rally I don't know, about 60%, 65% to the current prices of a few weeks ago. It's back on the list now because of this consolidation that is taking place. It's essentially been continuing to hold in its long-term uptrend, right? So it is still moving up and to the right on a longer-term basis, but it has pulled off of these all-time highs. It's making a series of lower highs and lower lows in the very short term, but it's doing it in pretty orderly fashion, and quite frankly, the retracement here is quite healthy and orderly. So for BILI, again, we're looking at this series, this trend line, this series of lower highs to be broken. We're looking for a resolve back to the upside, and so basically I'm looking at over, call it 43 and change is probably where this gets interesting again. You could use up to around 45, and then of course I know a lot of people like to use the old pivot high here, breaking to new all-time highs as a signal. Whatever your cup of tea is, I think the technicals here pretty much explain themselves in the type of pattern that we're looking at. So BILI, like it, it's got some potential there, and it's back on the watch list. Last but not least is WK. Probably, again, a slightly less trafficked name or a less watched name, but this comes from our watch list, and let's talk about it here. So if we zoom out, you can see we're not quite back at all-time highs yet in this stock. However, if we do zoom back, we can see it's been in a nice long uptrend. It had a very nasty correction here over the course of the past, frankly, it's been in drawdown mode since August of 2019. It has recovered a lot of its move to the downside, but it's not quite back to those all-time highs yet. The reason it is back up here on the Trade Ideas list, and when I say back up here, I think this is actually the first time we've ever talked about it. But the reason it's on here now is first is just the the size, the magnitude of the recovery and the rally off of the lows. So it got down to around $22. It's trading at $55. So it basically moved 150% in 3 months. So it's certainly repriced and got back up to these $50+ levels. What's most interesting now is just this tight, orderly consolidation. And so again, if we look at the way this has been consolidating here over the past month of trading, it has basically traded a little over a month's time in this 10% range, 8% range, which is pretty tight for this particular stock. And take a look at the volume, which I think is actually probably one of the more impressive features of this trade idea, is just the fact that it's been drying up here very consistently under the 20-day average. And then just take a look at the prior 20-day period where all you had was kind of accumulation volume here, as it's commonly defined as a stock rising on heavier volume. And then you can see as it consolidates here, it's taking place on light volume. So from a technical perspective, or classic sort of chartist is going to look at, this is about, is picture perfect as you would like to see in terms of consolidation and the way the volume is sort of stacking up in this name. So WK, that comes from our watch list, and that is the last and final trade idea. I do think it reports earnings in about a week's time. So once again, always have to double check those dates here as we are in the middle of earnings season. So hopefully you enjoyed a couple of ideas to think about, a couple of different looks there. And again, always stress, especially in these times, to do your due diligence. So that's it for me. Thanks as always for tuning in and watching. Every Wednesday we do trade ideas like this. We'll be back on Friday for our long form market recap video. Have a good day.